Excuse me. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic as known classics. Episode number 2292, 2292, excuse me, and 2286. Now, we're going through issues of basically particular Spider-Man and Spider-Man here in this one. Now, these issues, like in the case of the last time we discussed both these two respective series, I don't think there's any trades to collect these issues, so I figured they'll want to discuss them. For particular Spider-Man, we're discussing issues 242 to 253. Why am I stopping at a number? Because 254 starts the Spider-Hunt storyline. From issues 242 to about 249 is a 7-part story arc that basically has Spider-Man deal with the Chameleon again. And of course, with the Kangaroo. We also deal with the League of Losers. Yes, seriously, the League of Losers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening over the course of these 7 issues alone. Because 250 is a critically important issue. I'll get to what that issue is. Yeah, and also the fact that we also have the return of the Kangaroo. Yes. There's a guy called the Kangaroo pops up here. Yeah, and we also see return of the Jack-o'-lantern. Yep, the Jack-o'-lantern. Who is actually, believe it or not, Mysterio's brother. Yeah. Yeah, this is Danny Becker. He actually was Mysterio at one point. It became Jack-o'-lantern with the previous issue 241. Yeah, with pretty much the end of, like, the Clone Saga. That's when he became it. Now, Jack-o'-lantern had previously appeared just in the previous issue alone. That's why the whole Revelation stuff, that's when he became Jack-o'-lantern. And mostly put basically, he's here for about a couple issues. He's here basically as like another side villain for Spider-Man to fight while doing the Chameleon over the course of issues. Plus, we see the debut of a brand new villain. Who is it? Aslet Kravinoff. Who is that? Kraven the Hunter's second son. Yes. And we also returned of Kangaroo. He last appeared back in issue of Cage back in 1983. This was released in January 1987. After this issue here, he next appears in 244, which has the debut of this Kraven the Hunter. Well, actually, 243 was basically that. Yep. Yeah. Now, the thing with, well, they call it Kill, but it's really, Asha is just the nickname. So, yeah. And this guy was the main Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man comics for years. And he's here throughout this entire run. Yes, he's pretty much like from 243 to 253, missing only one issue, 247. And of course, you also with the return of the Grizzly. Yes, the freaking Grizzly in these issues. Well, also dealing with, now, of course, they think it's actually Kraven, but no, it's actually just Kraven's son. Yeah, and also 246 is the sole appearance of the League of Losers. Yes. Who appear in this issue and an issue of Marvel Apes. And that's it. No, seriously. Oh yeah, and by the way, in the case of the Danny Beckhart Jack-o'-lantern, now he was also a regular character in these issues, even returning for a couple issues of Identity Crisis, which I'll get to that, don't worry. And he appeared sporadically over it, including issues of X-Man. His last appearance was in Friendly with Spider-Man 13, though he's currently deceased. Apparently he was mentioned and killed off by Jack, the current Jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, there's also negative number 1 here. It's basically the first appearance of Flash Thompson's Dick father. Yeah, that's most what negative number 1 is. It's basically dealing with it's Flash Thompson's backstory. That's mostly exactly what it is. Yeah, but I love all the stuff Kraven Hunter. That was really good. We see return of Calypso in these issues. Yes, Calypso. Which sadly she gets killed off by the end of this run. Yep. Yeah, she sadly dies. I mean, this was the first time. Of course, I'm going to talk about the annual she appears in, which I'll talk about in a bit. She turned 249. She entered 253. Now, sadly put, 250 is a notorious issue of this book. This is the issue where Spider-Man breaks into Norman Osborn's office, beats the crap out of him for being the Green Goblin, but because the fact that at this point, the fact that he knows he's the Green Goblin, the fact that no one actually supports the fact he is the Green Goblin, it was caught on tape. And this issue was the prelude to the Spider-Hunt storyline, which led into Identity Crisis. So basically, over the course of the next few issues, basically Spider-Man's on the run from the law for beating up a public industrialist, aka Norman Osborn. Yeah, it's like, basically that's here as like a side thing mostly. Yeah. Yeah, and also John Jameson was cured of being the whole thing probably being Man-Wolf again. And of course, continuing Craven the Hunted right very next issue. Yep. This is called Soul the Hunter, which sadly put in 253. This is the end of Calypso. Yeah, she gets killed off in 253. Yep. And by the way, Luke Ross, I believe he's the artist for pretty much all these issues here. Yeah, he pretty much came on 239, and he's here up until the final issue of this volume before it gets relaunched. So yeah, he's the artist for this book. Book is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed reviewing this, and well, with the exception of Identity Crisis, this is mostly at the 200s for Douglas Spider-Man, and not many issues left to go for the book. Well, for the first volume anyways. There also is volume 2, but we'll get to that. Excuse me. Next up we have is Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man we're discussing, well, first, let's just discuss the annual for this book. Yep, there is an annual. Yeah, there is technically another annual. The way annuals released, the book was relaunched, yes, but as for this first one in particular, yeah, as for a solo annual that's not a team up, yeah, it is mostly put basically this one solo annual. This book at this time was basically retitled to be Peter Parker, Duck of Spider-Man, from issue 75 up until the final issue of the book, issue 98. Yes, and when the book was restarted, it kept this name as official name and title. And the annual features a return to Calypso. First time since it had been a while that she's last appeared. This book is written by Glenn Houderling, art by Scott McKibbins. Mostly put, it just deals with the return to Calypso. That's mostly put exactly what this is. Love the artwork here. It just basically some crazy stuff here, but it's just a really good annual. And I do appreciate the fact that Marvel basically gave this book an annual. Because if you look up basically the fact that the book was produced 98 issues, it technically had one annual. Well, it actually had one annual, which was with a lecture, but that was simply it. Now, next moving on to the main issues. Now, for Spider-Man, well, actually, it's referred to this point as Peter Parker, Peter Parker Spider-Man. Yeah, we see the first appearance of Shock. Who is Shock, you might ask? Well, he's a character from this run, and he sadly got killed off during Enemy Estate. He's not here very long. He's only here for 76, 79, 80. And pops up for issue 90. And that's it. Yeah, I think 90 was part of the Identity Crisis stuff. And then he pops up for a couple issues of Wolverine. He also did pop up for a guest appearance in Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, and believe it or not, the writer who wrote this issue is Howard Mankey, with John Romita Jr. in the artwork. Okay. Yeah, we also have this vampire position called Crown. Yes, Crown is his name. And he's here for 76, 79, 80 of this very book. And then, of course, he's about the relaunch for 4 and 7. And that's it. No, seriously, that's it. Now, if you're really curious, now, also issue 77, first person Andrea Jensen, who is a scientist, and she's here for just for issues 77 to 80. It's most of what she's basically like a supporting character who appears briefly in these issues. We also see return of Michael Morbius. Yes, Michael Morbius, who actually had appeared previously in X-Men number 24, and mostly put a lot of these issues deal with him. From issue 77 forward, most of it just all about Michael Morbius for Spider-Man. Yeah, my guess is because his ongoing book was done, so he's here for this very brief story arc. Yeah, from 77 to 80, it's like the Morbius story arc, and by issue 80, he's out of the book. Of course, Spider-Man is still with the Friends of Humanity. Anybody thinking, why the heck is X-Men a part of this? I have no idea. 79 has a guest appearance by Spider-Man deals with Hydra. Yes, frickin' Hydra. Yeah, and Andrea Jensen, who turns out she actually was Hydra all along, she got killed off in issue 80, and appeared to the crown before he appeared in the next book. And Morbius apparently died too, but he next appears in Peter Parker Spider-Man number 8, which was released just 2 years later. So yeah, 80 was the last issue of that one. So, oh, by the way, Jeremy Jr. is still the artist here. We see Spider-Man taking on Shockwave and Razor Fist. Razor Fist is not technically the original Razor Fist. It's the third one, I think. Yeah, Razor Fist, there was actually two brothers who were Razor Fist. And basically, this one has been the primary one since like the 70s. He actually killed off an issue of Deadpool Assassin. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, and he, of course, only appeared for one issue of this book, and he next appeared in Wolverine. As for Shockwave, he is not that of a character. I believe this character also popped up for an episode. Popped up in I think in a video game. I remember. Yes, I think so. Yes. So part of this issue, he appeared in a couple issues of Captain America, and then pretty much after this, he appeared in Years for Hire, and he appeared in Thunderbolts. Then he appeared in New Avengers. Appeared sporadically over the years. Of course, he last appeared in Diamond number 5. There's also someone called Cat, who is a character from the Shang-Chi book. Yes, for some reason, like Spider-Man versus Shang-Chi characters. And after this very issue, Cat next appears in Heroes for Hire, after he previously appeared in Markham Presents. There is -1 issue here, which basically focuses on Arthur Stacy. Who is Arthur Stacy, you might ask? Why, he's Captain George Stacy's brother. Yes, and that also makes him Gwen Stacy's uncle. Yep. Now, was this also the first appearance of his daughter, Jill? Yes. Along with Nancy. Jill herself, who actually appeared in issue 76 of this book. Jill, for some reason, that's mistakenly being... Yeah, for some reason, at times, Jill has mistaken for being Gwen. Now, I'm not sure why in the world they decided to expand upon why Howard Mankey had a good idea. To expand upon the Stacy family, but it's kind of odd they did this. Now, if you're curious though, does she still appear in comics? No. Jill Stacy last appeared in the first issue of Spectacular Spider-Man number 1 for its relaunch, and that was the last you saw of her. Yeah. It's like basically they're around for a few years and then they get just written off. Yeah. So Arthur Stacy is kind of the same thing with him too. Where actually made his first appearance back in May 693. Yeah. Yep, and he, of course, his last appearance was actually in the Lifeline miniseries, but if you think about it, his last appearance was actually in issue 25 of the Amazing Spider-Man book. Yeah, that was the last time he well, let's see, was it a dream? Well, actually, yeah, the Lifeline miniseries, which came out in 2001, that was his last appearance. Arthur Stacy, like his daughter, had appeared, like, it seems as though apparently Howard Mankey think, hey, why not bring back Arthur Stacy and have it be a supporting character in this Spider-Man book? And then later on, the Amazing Spider-Man book. Yeah, that's pretty much what they did with the character. I'm not sure exactly why, but we also have a Proto-Goblin. Yeah, so we think of it as like a pre-hop, pre-Green Goblin stuff. Yeah, then pretty much basically we'll continue to do with the Friends of Humanity. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, let's bring back the Friends of Humanity for Spider-Man for a couple more issues, and they're done. 82's first was Robin Vega. And she only appears a couple times. Yeah, only appears for 2 issues, and that was it. There's also Dawn of His Own. Yeah, and then we also see Shocker return. Yep. Yeah, Shocker's back. Why? Don't know why. Then we have the return of the Juggernaut issue 84. You're thinking, wait. Yeah, they do reference his previous appearance, which actually was in 457. Yeah, and then after this, next appearance was in X-Men Volume 2, number 70. I thought 93 was his basic next round, but no, it was actually this book here. I thought it was like 92, I think it was. Then we have 85, where he has Spider-Man taking on the Shocker. And of course, we'll also with the Trapster as well. And yes, John May Jr. is still doing the artwork for these issues. Yes. Yes, he is. And then we have the first appearance of the Construct Green Goblin. Yes, the Construct Green Goblin. Yeah, the whole purpose of this, because Peter Parker kept telling people, hey, no one else is the Green Goblin. And no one's like, hey, if I'm the Green Goblin, who is that? Yeah. As for who the heck this guy is, don't know. Because he became irrelevant once the Gathering happened. Yeah, once the Gathering 5 wrapped up, he became irrelevant. He appeared like 2 more times. He died in this issue, Peter Parker Spider-Man. Yeah, and this was his debut. And that was in issue 88 of the book. Now, of course, also in this book, we also have it where Aunt Anna finds out that Peter is Spider-Man. Because the fact that she thinks that Peter is cheating on Mary Jane. And Mary Jane's like, no, he's not cheating on me. He's Spider-Man. And we don't get her reaction just yet. But very interesting cliffhanger. I do enjoy these issues. What rating do I give these issues? I give Spectacular Spider-Man a 10 out of 10 because those issues were awesome. And isn't it something, though, the fact that after 8 to 14, they stopped producing annuals for this series? While Spider-Man, despite having a team-up annual in 98, he mostly would have a few more annuals released after that, and that was it. Yeah, that was it. But what do I give these issues here? Well, I give the annual a 10. I give that one a 10 out of 10 because I thought it was really good. The Spider-Man issues for 760-88, which is the issue I covered here, I give these issues mostly put a 9.5. It's a good rating. I can give it. I'm going to also throw a negative one in there as well, because basically it's all about the Stacys. The other reason I'll give it a 10 because just not the biggest fan of John Ray Jr.'s artwork. That's the honest truth of the matter. And also, the very next comic corner, I'll be discussing more John Ray Jr. because basically I'm talking about Thor. That was artwork there as a little bit in here. Because I've never been a big fan of John Ray Jr.'s artwork. I don't hate his artwork, I'm just not a big fan. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Next up is going to be another comic corner, discussing the end of Dan Jurgens' run on Captain America, and the start of his run on another book, which, yeah, it's Thor. Well, we'll talk about that. See you. Bye.